So I'm just sitting here thinking, and I realize that I think I know it all when it comes to God. In certain ways, I think I know what's best for me. And I think a lot of times we think we know what's best for us. We think if we have that career, if we have that mansion, if we have all the money, we think that that is what will make our life better right now. We think that will make our life perfect and satisfy us. But we don't realize that we truly don't know what's best for us. I, if I knew what was best for me, I wouldn't keep putting myself in certain situations. And sometimes I'm ready for I think I'm ready for a blessing, and I realize that I'm not. I realize that I'm not fully prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually to even handle a blessing. So sometimes God may give you a blessing and you may end up fumbling it, or you may end up losing it because you're not prepared. And we think we know it all. We think that we know what's best for us. We think we know the right direction that God should take us. And then we get angry and we get upset because things aren't going the way that we planned them. And it's not going to go the way that you planned it, because that's not what God intended for your life. God created you for a purpose. He created you to do certain things. But because you are in your own way and you keep thinking, oh, Lord, you're telling God, oh, it has to be this way. You're telling God, oh, it has to work out this way. But sometimes you have to humble yourself and realize that that's not the plan that God has for you. That's not the way that that's not the blessings that God has for you. And sometimes God has to do certain things and it may feel uncomfortable. It may feel like, Lord, why are you putting me in this situation? Lord, why do I have to go in this direction? But at some point, you have to move out of your own way. You have to realize that you don't know everything. You have to let God be God in your life. And you have to move out of the way. Move out of the way with your opinions. Move out of the way with your emotions. Because a lot of times we are emotion based. If it doesn't feel good, we don't want it. But it's those very things that don't feel good. It's those very things that make you uncomfortable that makes you grow. It's the very thing that makes you grow. But you have to humble yourself. And you have to realize you don't know everything. You don't know everything. And it wasn't meant for you to know everything. That's why he says, for I know the plans that I have for you. That's what God said. He said, I know the plans that I have for you. He knows the plans that he has for you. But you're steady trying to tell him what the plan should be. And then it doesn't work out. And you wonder why things are falling apart. And you wonder why things aren't coming together. Or you wonder why you still haven't broke certain problems in your life. And they keep continuing and going in cycles and cycles because you haven't allowed God to work in you in that area. You haven't humbled yourself enough to say, you know what, I don't know what's best for me. And that's where pride comes in. And I'm like, Lord, I didn't realize how much pride that I had in certain areas. I'm prideful thinking I know what's best for me. I know where I need to live. I know what career I need to be doing. I know the business idea that I have in mind. But it never works. And it's never going to work. Because that's not God's plan for you. And that's not what's best for you. Sometimes things look like it's good for you and it don't be. You ever seen some delicious food or pick out a cute shirt or something that you really thought would be best for you. But when you try it on or when you taste it, you realize, you know what? I actually don't like it. That's why we have to learn to trust God. Trust that God knows what's best for us. Trust that God, just let God be God. And he's starting to humble me and make me realize, you know what? I don't know everything. I keep saying, Lord, my prayers are, you don't realize sometimes your prayers become prideful because you're specifically asking God to do this and specifically asking God to do that. But you don't realize that that's not even the plan that he has for you. You say, Lord, give me this $1 million home. But that's not the plan that God has for you right now. So you're praying out of God's will. And that's why it's not getting answered. And that's why it's not working out. Because you are praying against the will of God. And your intentions are pure. Because God says, cast your cares on me. But you are praying against his will. So that's why sometimes things are not working the way that you imagine. Or the way that you had planned. And then it gets frustrated. And then it starts to feel like, why? You start to question yourself like, why is this happening? But then you have to realize, I just have to move out of my own way. I have to erase. It's almost like you ever draw something or write something down and you have to erase it. You almost have to erase the vision that you had planned for your life. You have to erase it and let God show you the plans. Because most of the time, you're drawing a picture that God never intended for you to have. You're drawing a lifestyle. You're drawing blessings out that you think you're ready for. You're drawing blessings out that you think you should have. But God knows what's best for you. God knows what's best for you. God knows the plans that he has for you. So you have to start to remove yourself out the way. Humble yourself enough to say, you know what? I don't have it all figured out. You know what? I could be in a better situation if I just move me out the way and just let God have his way in your life. And the moment you start to surrender and say, Lord, have your way in my life, it's going to be uncomfortable. It gets uncomfortable. But it will all be worth it. It will all be worth it. But you have to learn to be humble and move out of your own way.